change or things like that. I don't know if they are changing, but since it's the first day, I don't think they would be. But yeah, so I would send I would send somebody into the locker room first to make sure it was all cleared out, and then from there I would proceed to go in with the three students or the three girls to get their locker assignments and their locks. I maybe have, or no, sorry. I would definitely have a female adult come in with me, just in case somebody else did come in. She could tell them to wait a little bit or go to a separate part of the locker room to go do whatever they have to do. But since it says that they're only getting their locker assignments, I don't think it would be a big deal since no one's changing or anything like that. But on the safe side, I would bring an adult female with me to make sure that everything's okay. Segment 3. A few weeks into the semester, one of your fellow interpreters who interprets for the freshman football team asks if anyone can sub for her after school for the freshman football practice. You are free and have been looking forward to interpreting after school sports. You tell her you would be willing to sub. She thanks you and gives you the details: time, location, players, and coach's name. Unfortunately, just before practice, it begins to rain. You're standing in the cold rain interpreting while the football coach talks to his players about whether or not to have practice today. None of the boys want to practice, but the coach tells them their opponents. None of the boys want to practice, but the coach tells them their opponents for this week's game are probably practicing right now. One of one of one of the one of the players shouts, "No, they don't practice. They're pussies." The coach immediately looks at you and says, "Don't sign that." What do you do? Why? Um, well, because it's high school freshmen, and one of the main goals for a football team is for everybody to be united and things like that. I think I would interpret it, but I might I might change the degree or I would change it from that word to like chickens or things like that. Something that's a little more non non offensive. Actually, no, I would do it because I mean they're high school boys. They talk like that anyway, and it only gets worse as they get older. And because I have, see, I'm not sure how many deaf people I have in here, but 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 I I need them to feel like they're part part of the team. And if I don't interpret or if I change it, that kind of separates them a little bit from that separates them a little bit more from everybody else from wherever they were. Um, I would tell the coach that that I would have to sign it because they I would tell the coach that I would sign it because they have the same right to know what's being said as everybody else does, and even though it's inappropriate, I'd still do it. Segment 4. Just after winter break during the second semester, you are asked to interpret for a parent-teacher conference involving one of the female students in your freshman English class. Her parents, case manager, and program social worker. Yeah. Okay. And the program, you you are aware that that you are aware that the student is failing most of her classes, has been cutting class, and is having a hard time adjusting to high school. You arrive after school to the conference room where all the participants are present except the student. You are told the student will be joining the meeting shortly and are asked to stay. Without the deaf student present, her mother mentions that she's concerned about her daughter's social group and the types of behavior she might be involved in. The mother turns to you and tells you she knows her daughter trusts you. That's why she wants to know if you're aware of any information that might pertain to her daughter's sexual behavior. She tells you and the group that she wants to know in order to take steps to make sure she's protected. She assures you she won't confront her daughter. She just wants to get her on both control rather than risk a teen pregnancy. What would I do? Why? Excuse me. Since she is a minor, if she was doing anything that was putting her in harm's way, I'm legally obliged to give that information. But I, I'm not sure if sexual behavior is in that group of drugs, violence, abuse, things like that. Um, I I remember last week you told us don't give out any information unless it's harmful, and also don't give out any information that is outside of our expertise, which is just interpreting. So if I felt the daughter was in any harm's way and I knew about it, I would say, or I would tell her mother. But if I don't know and and she's not showing up with bruises or things like that, I would. I don't think I would say anything outside of how she's doing in her classes and her attendance and things like that. And last one, segment 5. A few weeks later, you are assigned to interpret for an IEP meeting for a deaf student and her deaf parents. You do not interpret any classes for the student and have never met her parents. It turns out to be quite a heated debate over what services the deaf student should receive and the quality of interpreters in the school system. Afterwards, another staff interpreter at your school comes up to you and asks what went on in the IEP meeting because she saw the deaf student's parents storm out the building earlier. What would you do? Why? Um, wow, I don't know. Since I don't really have a relationship with that student, like I don't interpret for any of her classes, I never see her. I think I would treat that as another job, like the whole being confidential and everything. But granted, another no, yeah, I wouldn't say anything because I feel like that information, even to another interpreter, isn't really important. Like it won't change how it won't change how how the other interpreters will interpret for her, and if it does, the person who's responsible for making the changes will let them know. So I don't think it's in my power to, or I don't think it's my right or responsibility to give out that information. Yeah, that's what I would do. And that was the last one. All right, Angie. Thanks. I'll see you in class.